The North and South didn't see eye to eye on much of anything, so war was only a matter of time.
To beat the Confederates, the Union Army would have to get control of the Cumberland and other rivers. And to do that, they would have to get rid of Fort Donelson and other river forts. In the North, General Ulysses S. Grant and Admiral Andrew Foote put Plan A into action. By February 13, 1862, thousands of Union soldiers had made the trip south, defeated the Confederates at Fort Henry, and were on their way to Fort Donelson. Grant would attack the fort by both land and river. One thing that made this such a radical plan were the Union gunboats. Most of them were ships called ironclads, a metal-plated floating fort that was hard to beat.
You know, sometimes the Civil War feels too long ago to really matter, kind of buried in dust and cobwebs. But right now, I'm inside an actual Union ironclad gunboat, identical to the ones used at Forts Henry and Donelson. Almost 150 years ago, this gunboat was cruising rivers and attacking Confederate forts. That is, until it was sunk by the enemy. And now, after almost 100 years on the river bottom, the Cairo was raised and restored. Now I can stand in front of the same ironclad where men fought for their lives and for a cause they believed in. It's a weird feeling, but it's one that lets us know history isn't a fairy tale. It's about real things happening to real people.
Fire!
And the reality of war hit home on February 14th, Valentine's Day. But nobody was thinking about love, candy, or flowers. The Union gunboats, similar to the Cairo, started the attack. But the ironclads couldn't do the job as everyone thought. The Confederates pounded the boats, killing several men. The gunboats retreated. On February 15th, the Confederates made a surprise sunrise attack on the Union lines. The Northern troops pushed back hard. At the end of the day, the Confederates were back where they started, trapped inside the fort.
It was a cold night for the soldiers inside Fort Donelson, and an unhappy one for the Confederate command. But some hard calls had to be made.
Commander of the fort, General John Floyd, met with his second and third in command, General Gideon Pillow and General Simon Buckner, at a hotel in Dover. The decision was made to surrender Fort Donelson.
On February 16, 1862, General Grant accepted the unconditional surrender of Fort Donelson here at the Dover Hotel. Now, the Cumberland River and thousands of miles of land were open to the Union Army. Fort Donelson is the site of a battle that changed a lot of things, not just for the soldiers, but also for their families back home.
I will. I'll come back and I'll ride as much as I can, okay?
Please come back.
All right.
Please.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
All across America, thousands of men left their homes to go to war. And thousands of women suddenly found themselves taking on new roles. Women became the only parent in the absence of their husbands. The hard work that used to be shared was now hers to do alone. Another responsibility was protecting the home. It was a job that took courage. Supporting their men, Southern women would sometimes make uniforms for the Confederate soldiers. And when the Union Army and fighting came too close, some Southern women chose to leave their homes for a life of safety somewhere else.